Good afternoon and welcome. It's April 26th, 2026, and you're watching Roasting the Press. My name's Chuck Black, and I am with Richard Gagnon. I'm sorry I got you confused with a guy named Peter.
Okay.
How goes it, Richard?
Going well. Got a few puffy clouds up here, and it's 20 degrees, and it's beautiful out here. It's definitely much better than living in a big city.
Finally, after months and months and months of being jealous about the weather, it's nice here today on Manitoulin Island.
Bravo.
There is sunlight. It's about 18 above out. I was outside for a bit of time today. It's a good day to be alive.
Yep.
And,
Bravo.
It's what?
Bravo.
Well, I've spent the last 6 months saying, oh, God, it's miserable out here. It's 10 below.
Well, I started to see the colder weather back in November.
Yeah.
But we didn't get a lot of real cold weather. We had only about a couple of days of minus 16.
Okay.
And then it was hanging around zero most of the time.
That's not bad. But for the last 3 months, consistently, the weather where you are has been warmer than Manitoulin Island.
Yep. But that's pretty much typical out in BC.
Yeah, no, that's right. You're very lucky with the weather.
Yeah, we have the winds from Hawaii. They come over.
And it's not bad. But at least summer is coming all across the country tonight.
Yep, absolutely.
Do you want to go into our first piece? We got a lot on the go tonight. It's all relating to journalism and propaganda. And tonight it's got a little bit to do with Lego. Shall we move forward?
All right.
We are going to start tonight off with the April 21st Radio Free Europe post. It's about Lego. And it's under the title, Iran is Fighting with Lego. And this video notes the latest in a long series of propaganda battles between Iran and the U.S. It goes back about 2 months to when the U.S. and Israel first attacked Iran. And it's an interesting video. Here we go.
The Iranian regime is fighting a war, and someone in Tehran has decided that Lego is now a propaganda weapon. Since the war with the US and Israel began, the Islamic Republic state media has been putting out slick animated videos, Lego-style figures, anime aesthetics, Pixar-ish visuals, depicting missile strikes, villainous Trumps, and Iranian heroes. Produced fast, designed to travel, the regime is deliberately wrapping its war propaganda in associations of playfulness and childhood innocence. And the childlike aesthetic isn't just optics. It's a technical workaround. Cartoon content is far less likely to be flagged or removed by social media platforms than actual war footage. The format is AI assisted, which means a small team can turn around a video within hours of a news event. The White House is also putting out videos, but the cultural references, Top Gun, Grand Theft Auto, Iron Man, real strike footage set to AC/DC, appear aimed more toward a domestic audience. Iran seems to be playing a different game. It wants international platforms, global feeds, not just the home crowd. It needs the world watching, particularly audiences whose governments are being asked to take sides. And the no dialogue format means no dubbing, no subtitles. It travels without translation. The animation is new. The goal, controlling and sanitizing the narrative, is as old as war itself.
What do you think, Richard? Have you watched the Lego videos? Richard, are you there? There you go. You're back. Did we lose you for a bit?
Yeah, I guess so. I'm just going to check my Starlink here. It shouldn't have gone. It's a clear day. Oh, yeah, I guess it did drop off. Okay.
Did you see the last of the video about Lego?
I did. Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah. And that's interesting. Using caricatures to pass a message on. doesn't get flagged as censorship.
Yeah, because it's targeted specifically at kids. Isn't that wild?
It is. Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. Why are they doing that? Well, why not, I guess.
Yeah. Well, Trump's doing it too, but like the announcer said, Trump seems to be focusing on a primarily domestic audience. He's trying to gain popularity. He's trying to gain people support for what he's doing, I think.
Yeah.
And Iran, well, they were attacked first. They're already all on side with the need to defend themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're using cartoons to show that they can defend themselves.
Yep. And it's, I don't know, I think it's interesting. If you want, here's an American version that discusses much the same stuff, but slightly different perspective. This is something called the April 22nd CNN post. What's with the Iran Lego videos? Here we go.
What's with all the Iran Lego videos?
America first? Oops. Oh boy, that was the slogan you stole.
This is one of the latest viral videos by pro-government Iranian media outlets. A regime-aligned propaganda outfit based inside Iran called Explosive Media has really dominated the scene, creating AI-generated Lego videos about the war that rack up thousands of views and shares. Their traditional, outdated videos and images of religious iconography most associated with the Islamic Republic are getting pushed aside. Instead, these globally oriented songs and raps talk about the core principles of the Islamic Republic, like anti-Westernism and anti-imperialism, in a more modern way.
We're standing here for everyone. Your system ever wrong, they've known all along.
Nagis Bojogli says the war has changed how the Islamic Republic communicates.
Because their fathers have been killed mostly, this younger generation now has a lease to be able to sort of take on the decision making and how to communicate with the world about what Iran is and what the Islamic Republic stands for. They've put aside a lot of that religious language.
And it's not just Lego videos. Over the past few weeks, Iranian embassies all around the world have begun trolling the US and Israel. And Iranian leaders like Speaker of the Parliament, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, have also begun posting memes and internet culture references, showing a real shift in propaganda.
It's quite incredible to me to watch. They have outdone the United States and Israel in communications, especially in the social media realm. That to me shows that the young folks are in charge of the communications arm in Iran. And in the United States and Israel, it still feels beholden to an older generation, which is why I think they're failing in the digital world.
I think that's fairly accurate, but I find it modestly frightening, the core thesis of this of this CNN piece, that the Americans have killed all the old people, so the young people are moving into positions of power and they're better at social media.
Yeah, that's an interesting analogy. Yeah.
So I don't know where I don't know where it goes from here, but what do you think about the Lego videos? Have you ever seen any of the full length ones? They're about 4 or 5 minutes.
No. But the thing is, that's great. They're using different media platforms to be able to put their messages across.
Yes.
But are they the right message that's being put across?
I don't honestly know. I mean, I would argue that public opinion in the U.S. has solidified. It's already anti-Trump, but at the same token, the U.S. president has decided to follow through with his plans no matter what the audience says. He may have to change his tune over the next couple of days. I think there's a 90-day time limit for a U.S. president warring against another nation without seeking approval from Congress. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going to happen. I'm not sure if it's helpful.
Yeah, he might just say, okay, well, we had a ceasefire, now we're back at war again for another 90 days.
Yeah, that's something I forgot. That's conventional wisdom. Trump may say that we had a ceasefire, so therefore the clock on the war starts over at zero. We got to go another 90 days before I need to seek approval.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, that's typical though in any negotiation stuff. They'll flip it that way, and of course, yeah, that is something that's really dominant in the copyright world.
Yeah. No, I sort of agree with that. To me, however, that says that the real determination on whether or not the Americans will follow through with the war will only take place during the November elections.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know. That gives Trump the real campaigning doesn't start for those elections until after September.
So anybody who tells you to stay out of the sun most likely works for the government or just wants to.
Sorry about that. Something clicked in. I wasn't.
That was
anyway,
mine.
we'll get to that piece a little bit later. We're still talking about Lego.
Yeah.
There is legacy media has also been taking pot shots at the Lego stories. Here's something I found on the Daily Show, the April 17th, 2026 Daily Show post under the title, "How Can America Possibly Compete with Iran's Wrapping Legos?" Here's something from the Daily Show, which is mostly a comedy show, but is in its own way very similar in propaganda to what Lego's doing. Here we go.
Great.
This leads to an important point about the Iran war. Memes are weapons now.
War with Iran isn't just playing out on the ground, it's exploding online. Iranian embassies and pro-Iran groups are flooding social media with AI-generated memes, many mocking President Trump and U.S. policy.
Mocking President Trump. No one's ever thought of that. Big deal. Look, no offense, Iran, but you're not exactly known as a cultural powerhouse, okay? So good luck impressing Americans with your little videos.
The secrets are leaking. The pressure is rising. We locked on the target. And now you are hiding. LOSC. Yeah, we spelling at your name. Send them to the slaughter. You the only one to blame.
Holy shit. Did I... What was going on there? Is there a sequel to a Lego movie I don't know about? Did I just see Iran fire a loser rocket at Lego Trump? I mean, look, do I support Iran propaganda? No. Could it end up on my Spotify Wrapped? Absolutely. I mean, I kind of can't wait for Iran to headline Coachella next year. But if an Ayatollah can do that, you know what? I bet Donald Trump and his virgin maxing meme lords can go even harder. All right? Show him what you got, Trump.
You want to see me do it again? You want to see me do it again?
What the f*** was that? That was the shittiest meme ever. How is Trump bad at this? What was the point of electing a cyberbully if he sucks at cyberbullying? I was worried we might be the bad guys in this war, but after seeing this diss track, I'm realizing it's much worse. What Drake?
I don't even know who Drake is. He was a star once 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I think nowadays he's an old rapper pretending to still have the pulse of the youth of America.
Yeah, maybe.
Any final comments before we go to the last short video in this segment? American propaganda.
Another meme?
Another meme. This one's from the other side.
Okay.
Here we go.
On the orders of the President of the United States, U.S. Central Command commenced Operation Epic Fury.
I'm gonna shoot you right down. This regime will soon learn that no one should challenge the strength and might of the United States Armed Forces.
He reminded the world, as he has time and time again, being an American means something unbreakable. If you kill Americans, if you threaten Americans anywhere on earth, we will hunt you down without apology and without hesitation, and we will kill you. We didn't start this war, but under President Trump, we are finishing it. Their war on Americans has become our retribution against their Ayatollah.
Iran is run by lunatics, religious fanatic lunatics. They have an ambition to have nuclear weapons. They intend to develop those nuclear weapons behind a program of missiles and drones and terrorism that the world will not be able to touch them for fear of those things. This is the weakest they've ever been. Now it's time to go after them. The president made the decision to go after them, take away their missiles, take away their navy, take away their drones, take away their ability to make those things so that they can never have a nuclear weapon.
Finally, to the great proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations.
Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, that's I've seen a lot of that video before.
It seems to be the most popular one. It's not the only one.
No.
And I got to argue that the Iranians are putting out videos daily, hourly in some cases. And the Americans are very old school. They're taking videos. They're taking video segments out of other propaganda videos. They've got a lot of that seems like Top Gun. There was a John C. Hooker song, a blues song, 80 years ago that went with boom 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 boom, which I think is in there. A lot of comments. Direct quotes from U.S. President Donald Trump. As a matter of fact, he seems front and center in both sets of propaganda videos, the Americans and the Iranians.
Yeah, it's interesting what they're doing.
Yeah. I also think it's worth noting that most of the videos that talked about Iranian propaganda and the original Iranian propaganda quite readily available on TikTok, but nothing from the U.S. president on TikTok, no propaganda there. This propaganda video I actually found on Instagram, and I was sort of surprised to find it. So I think the American ones aren't overwhelming the ecosystem in the same way that the Iranian ones are. And for some reasons, I don't know. I think the head of Oracle Corporation, Larry Ellison, likes Lego videos.
That could very well be.
You're a little slow about that. He owns TikTok now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, that's interesting. There's a lot of interesting things that are that idea of the Lego makes so much sense. Now let's just see if those Legos end up on the toy store shelves.
One more comment before going on to the next piece. Lego has not issued a public statement about its toys being used in anti-war videos by Iran. Lego has not said one thing publicly about this.
Interesting.
Maybe they're anti-war. Maybe they don't want to get wrapped up in politics. Who knows why? But that seems to be what's going on.
Yeah, that's interesting that they haven't said anything about it.
Yeah. I don't know. They could probably file suit against TikTok, if nothing else.
File suit against Iran.
Yeah, Iran wouldn't pay. But TikTok might have to go to court. It might cost TikTok money.
Who knows for sure? Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a situation that's still in a tremendous state of flux, and we will probably get back at it at some point. But this is an obvious, overt example of propaganda currently being used all around the world to fight a new front in the current war.
Right.
Shall we go on to our next piece?
Sure.
We are going to now talk about something entirely different, but very much the same. Let's see. There it is. This is a March 2026 paper under the title, Who Will Monetize Truth? A Thesis for the Future of the Information Business. It's written by a guy named Francisco Marconi, who is the current CEO and co-founder of a company called Applied XL. And Applied XL is a business-to-business vertical intelligence platform. That's what they call themselves. And the post, Who Will Monetize the Truth, says some interesting things about the media. Marconi focuses primarily on what he calls the great information repricing. He says it's caused by the creation of the internet. And according to papers like this one, the media industry is splitting into three different, entirely different species. Now, the first one is something he calls the intelligence business. This is a business with information that can be sold profitably. This is a business where the information is actionable, something that enables decision makers to respond effectively to problems or to opportunities. And the decisions could be business specific decisions, they could be government specific decisions, or they could be personal decisions, whether or not you want to buy a Chrysler or a Toyota for your next vehicle. But this is something that can be sold profitably. This is information that will lead to decision making in governments, by individuals, and in corporations. Now, the next type of information available on the market these days, at least according to Marconi, is something called the attention aggregator. This is primarily in entertainment. This is primarily things like cat videos and application scrolling. And it's a category for things which attract people's attention. Like I said, cat videos, sporting events, things like that. But these are also things that, while entertaining, are not immediately useful. And these sorts of things were once the key to advertising, marketing, and media profitability, because they drew large audiences. And the audiences could be sold to sell other products. But AI has made this category of information mostly free. Nobody has to pay to see a sporting event these days. Nobody has to pay to see a cat video. Nobody has to pay to aimlessly scroll social media. We're all being entertained. We are all getting our attention attracted for things that don't cost money anymore. So this category of media is falling through the floor. And the final category is information for the public good. And Marconi argues that while necessary, this category of information will not survive as a business because nobody knows how to monetize it yet. Now, it's a category of things essential for a society to function, to know about, but it's not something necessarily useful for any one person's decision making today. So most people aren't going to buy it today in the same way they would buy category 1, business intelligence. But it's something that could be facilitated by public broadcasters like the CBC or by independent new media outlets. And according to Marconi, these three categories are not stages of evolution. They are distinct businesses growing out of the current media landscape. They have distinct economic and classification requirements. And those requirements are determined by who pays and what they do with the information. And according to Marconi, the question for every news or PR organization is deciding which category they belong to and how their media model will drive funding. So this is a very business issue. It's been really, really popular at the publisher level, at the CEO level of major businesses over the last month. And it's essentially what Marconi has built his core business around. Applied Excel. He wants to tell businesses how to make money. Anyway, Richard, what do you think of this?
Oh, of course, yeah. They're trying to define an awful lot of stuff that hasn't been defined yet in the social media aspect of things. So we need to make sure we need to make sure that people who can monetize are honestly doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're not being honorable about it, then why bother?
That's fair. What do you think about category 3, the public good? Marconi has suggested that this could be facilitated by public broadcasters or funded by governments through independent news outlets. To me, this gives a role for organizations like the CBC, which is right now trying to be everything to everybody. They have a media model that's mostly government funding, but a little bit depending on attention aggregator. Up until 5 years ago, 10 years ago, their aggregator was Hockey Night in Canada, and now they don't know what to collect eyeballs for.
Yeah, I don't believe that the government should be involved with that because we've been trying to kick them out of mainstream media for the longest time.
And I sort of agree with that. I think the government's perception of what the public good is different from the popes or the typical businessman or especially you and I, other journalists.
Exactly. Yeah. And I don't see that. I don't want the government to be involved in any of this, trying to make rules or regulations or anything. Because otherwise they're going to destroy even more.
There was a time when I would have said there's a role for government in the media landscape, but CBC has been pretty malicious over the last 10 or 15 years. They've driven new media outlets into the ground. They've harassed them on YouTube. They've gotten them demonetized. They are lobbying the government. We will go into this in the next piece. They are lobbying the government to increase the amount of money the government gives them every year. And they are looking out for their own self-interest. They're looking to protect their phony baloney jobs. So I don't think that the legacy media, the CBC in its present form, deserved more than a plug nickel. At least not.
That's right. Yeah, they don't deserve it anymore. They basically destroyed themselves.
They don't think they're destroyed yet. They're looking for more money.
Yeah, well, they're trying to avoid any complete destruction by just asking for more money, please.
More money, more money, more money.
They just don't get it. Money's not worth anything. Why bother?
Maybe, but it's worth it to them. And over the short term, despite what you say, enough people think money retains enough value so that I can buy gas and I can get food.
No, to me, that's not the value for that. That's just basically part of the bartering system with that rainbow currency that we've got.
Yeah, I agree with you now. The money seems to have no value in and of itself.
Right.
If you put it in a mattress, it loses value objectively over a period of years because of inflation.
Yeah, but I'll tell you one thing. If you've got it in a mattress and it's a rainbow currency, it'll still be useful for bartering. Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing it's good for.
Yeah, and it allows you to allows you to barter without keeping a record.
Right.
If I put something on Visa, if I put something on my debit card, everybody can track it.
That's right. Yeah.
So I think that's. So you don't think any more comments before going on to our next piece?
No, not right now. I can't think of anything.
Here we go to our next piece. This is actually an interesting one. This is what Canadian media has been doing over the last couple of weeks. And over the last couple of weeks, the Canadian new media landscape has been dominated by critical discussions regarding the long-term survival of Canada's legacy news industry. Public testimony has been going on at something called the Standing Committee for Canadian Heritage. This is a Parliament House of Commons committee that's been holding public inquiries and taking testimony from people in legacy media. And those people in legacy media have been essentially highlighting the precarious state of newsrooms as traditional revenue streams continue to evaporate. And they've been doing that because they want more grants. They want more Heritage Canada grants. They want more CRA deductions. They pretend that the focus of these meetings is on establishing a sustainable funding model, much like we discussed in our previous post, but they're looking for a sustainable funding model that can support the unique needs of public, private, and non-profit media sectors. This to me means they're looking for a sustainable funding model that will protect the horse and buggy mechanisms that legacy media is depending on not to die. And I think that's nuts. Now, witnesses at this testimony include representatives from Unifor, the major Canadian media union, and something called Friends of Canadian Media. We'll get into them a little bit more later. But representatives from all these organizations testified that the collapse of local news is creating a democratic deficit. They argue that as local outlets shut down, communities lose the oversight necessary to hold municipal and provincial powers accountable. No one cares about the federal government because the federal government pays everybody, but they want the oversight necessary to hold municipal and provincial powers accountable. Of course, I don't think they're really looking to defend the media. There's Unifor, the main Canadian union, and here's the front page of Friends of Canadian Media. This is essentially the main private sector lobby group for media interests. It's heavily funded by Unifor, but there's kind of an arm's length relationship between them. Now, the main lobby groups, Unifor and Friends of Canadian Media, are looking to defend jobs primarily at their legacy media outlets. And no one has looked at any of the independent media covered in stuff we've discussed before, Richard. Things like the 2026 Freedom Forum listing of important and influential Canadian news media outlets, primarily because none of those outlets are unionized. On the other hand, Freedom Forum has pointed out this list to several of the experts called by the Heritage Committee, and some of them have said it's useful and provides a necessary counterpoint to the arguments that only union-run shops can defend democracy effectively. Now, here's specifically what the media lobbyists are advocating for their members. And this is public record from the parliamentary meetings. Private sector legacy media companies like CTV and the Globe and Mail are looking to expand the Canadian journalism labor tax credit. This is currently 25% of journalism salaries. They want to increase that. They're also looking to increase federal advertising spends to 25 to 50% of their government advertising. And they want to spend that advertising exclusively on Canada Revenue Agency qualified Canadian journalism organizations. This is a multi-million-dollar package. Private sector legacy media companies are asking for that to be increased and to be spent primarily on CRA-approved media outlets. Now, public media outlets like CBC and Radio Canada are looking for ongoing multi-year budgetary stability. Right now, their budget is announced with the annual federal budget every year, usually in April or so. And CBC and Radio Canada don't think they can plan ahead with that sort of thing. They're looking for mandatory budgetary stability. They want to know that their $1.5 billion will come to them regularly every year. Now, nonprofits and Indigenous independents, creators is what the government calls them. I think you and I, Richard, would be in the category of creators. And representatives from Unifor and Friends of Canadian Media are pretending they're also friends of independent content creators. And they are looking to top up the Canadian Media Fund, the CMF. That's through Heritage Canada. That program is being modernized to include a 1.4 million digital creators pilot program that includes podcasters and independent digital journalists. Unifor and Friends of Canadian Media are intentionally dividing up real journalists from independent digital journalists because there are legal it's beneficial to the uniform members. Independent digital journalists don't get tax credits. They don't get funding from other Heritage Canada departments. And there are certain laws and legal requirements that lobbyists like Unifor and Friends of Canadian Media have lobbied the government to give them, which won't be given to independent digital journalists. I think Canada Heritage calls Rebel News an independent digital journalist, and because of that, they don't allow them a lot of access for interviews and stuff like that. That's an example of what it is. Now, the April 18th, 2026 Now Media on YouTube post, there it is right there. I think there's sort of straddling the line between independent and government funded. Anyway, the Now Media on YouTube post under the title is Should Journalists Decide Who Is or Isn't a Journalist? Talks about one of those other things that Unifor and Friends of Canadian Media are trying to get. They want journalists to decide who is and who isn't a journalist. And this is part commentary from the two hosts of the Now Media podcast, but it also contains parliamentary testimony from about a week and a half ago from acknowledged legacy media experts like Peter Menzies, who is a former journalist and an ex-CRTC head, and who now works for the Macdonald-Laurier Institute. And he's saying some things I like, some things I don't like, but this is a sample of what's going on in the House of Parliament over the last week or so. Here we go.
Listen to this. This is on media, though. This whole section on media is going to blow your mind. Part of this is in Parliament here. And this is some questioning in what is independent media here in Canada. It's something that we harp on all the time.
My question is for Mr. Menzies. Mr. Menzies, one of the things that you said in an interview with The Hub, and I'll quote, you said the era of a free, independent, trusted media in Canada is finished. That's quite a bold statement. And so I would like to ask you to explain why you draw this conclusion and what the implications are.
Well, the industry is no longer independent. It's largely dependent on government subsidies at the moment. In Quebec, almost 100% of newsrooms between provincial and federal subsidies are done. So the image of independence is gone. What once was, I tried to put it recently, what once was sacred, this detachment between media and government, and that relationship should never be cozy, and it should never even have the appearance of cozy. It should always be, if you're going to default, it should probably be to steal a phrase from somebody else. It should always be bad in terms of that cordial, but it shouldn't be cozy. So that's sort of ended the image of independence. And that's not to insult any journalists. They may be pure as the driven snow, but the public doesn't see them as independent anymore. And once you've lost that connection with the public, then you're really, that era has ended. And we're now in a new era. It's sort of it's an interesting new world. And if we continue down the path that we're on, as I tried to point out, the demands for this subsidy, the strengthening of this bond between journalism and government is only going to grow stronger. And as it grows stronger, public faith in both institutions is going to decline.
Quick question for Mr. Menzies. When you speak about consumer-driven subsidization, I wonder if you wouldn't run into the same problem by then having to qualify certain journalistic organizations as qualified journalistic organizations. Would you not run into the same perception of interference or relationship?
Not if the government got out of the business of doing that. If the industry were smart enough, and it hasn't shown that it is to date, all the sectors, the broadcasting sector, the print sector, would form a national association, and they would decide, just in the same fashion that medical societies decide who is a doctor and legal societies decide who is a lawyer. They would decide who is a journalist, because the government has absolutely no business, through whatever means, deciding what a journalist is. But it could get itself out of that problem by having, and the industry could get itself out of the problem by having a proper national organization, and they could fight it out there. And you wouldn't have to get involved. You just say, okay, where's your list?
I don't like the idea of that either, quite frankly. I don't think Canada's journalists have shown that they, know up from down. Never mind who's a journalist and who isn't a journalist. So if they got together and they determined that, I would be...
Well, I don't think they'd let us be a journalist if they decided on their own.
No, they wouldn't. They would say, no, you guys aren't journalists. You never got credentials for that or anything like that. Who cares about credentials? Everybody's a journalist when they're saying something about what's going on in the world events. Everybody.
I tend to agree with you. I mean, accredited journalists are bad journalists. That's my perception.
Yeah. When we were doing the Not TV thing, Travis was always trying to get the accredited journalist thing. Now it's something that's nothing worthwhile chasing.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. Honestly, it's sort of a bad thing. I don't see any journalists talking about how they're accredited through the CRA and they get government grants to preserve their journalism. Nobody wants to talk about that. There was this Quebec-based food writer who talked about that, and he was immediately fired from his job.
Right.
You're not supposed to tell everybody that we're funded by the government. That brings us into disrepute.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. So, but anything, I look at all these things and people say, oh, you should apply for this. No. I won't apply for anything that is government money.
Or even independent. I know enough about the history of law firms. I know enough about the history of medical accreditation. I know enough about the history of different types of accounting accreditation. I don't see anything good to come from this.
No, neither do I. Neither do I.
The only thing good I see coming, I mean, we go out into the public marketplace. If people like our stuff, if people watch our stuff, if people pay for our stuff, we are successful journalists.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're accredited at that point in time.
Yeah, we are accredited by the public. We are accredited by the marketplace.
That's right. Yeah. You don't need no stinking government papers to show that you're accredited.
What do you think about all the government journalists unions and their lobbyist lapdogs telling the government they need more of government's money?
I have no use for unions, and I never have had a use for unions. They're completely a waste of time and money. There was one place where I didn't join the union. I just basically was assumed to be part of the union, but I never signed any papers saying I was part of the union.
Yeah, that's okay then.
And of course, there's another place where I did join the union just to get their propaganda, and their propaganda was all crap.
I resemble that remark. As I recall, I think I told you this before. I was a shop steward when I was working at the meat department for the last 3 years or so, and I don't know if the union protected the jobs of its members. I don't know if it gave its members any substantial raises in collective bargaining. I know that they, on average, everybody at the store made just slightly over minimum wage.
Yeah. I know when I got laid off from what was it? The union or continuing education at the university. I used the union there.
Okay.
But the only reason I used it was just to get them to tell me what they were offering. And they were offering me 6 months of severance package. And then, of course, after that expired, then I could get onto EI. So I did it. I was at 1 year. Maybe it was 1 year. But anyways, I did pretty good for myself because they were there and they said that they would answer the questions for me. And after I heard what the offer was, I'm a businessman. I saw the sweet deal. You know, I saw that Trump was doing. I mean, you lay down your initial offer and then that's it. So I took it. And I thought I did pretty good.
You look, whatever happened in the past, you're hale and hearty now. Everything worked out for the best.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
If I can mention one more thing, I actually sent emails to Menzies and to one or two other people who gave testimony before the Commons Committee 2 weeks ago. And they were all quite curious about the list of 75 new media outlets. They were even more curious about the top 20 new media personalities in the news ecosystem. And they were most of all exceptionally curious about something you and I have talked about before, the end of last year surveys from Reuters and the University of Oxford that said, well, Canadians mostly listen to Americans. We also listen to a couple of new media people. Their audiences are growing. And none of us even know who is the head, who's the main announcer of the CTV National News. Nobody listens to CTV or CBC or Global, but they listen to Sean Newman.
That's right.
So I don't know. It's occurred to me that Unifor is going to fall apart sometime over the next 5 or 10 years unless they can demonstrate that they can draw huge amounts of money out of the federal government.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's unfortunate. You look at the last union thing that I was really pissed off about, and that was the Canada Post.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They're still negotiating on stuff in there, but the thing is that the unions have no power. They just basically try and get more money, more benefits for their people. And of course, what that does is it drives up the costs of everything that's to everybody else. So if all the unions are doing this, guess what? That's why we're getting all these high meat prices. That's why we're getting all this high postage stuff.
Yeah.
It's
I do sort of agree with that.
It's because of the fact that the unions are being greedy.
Yeah.
On behalf of the people that pay them.
Yes. That brings me to my second point about unions. Unions were once unions. Now they are pension funds. They get more money out of their pension fund than they do out of their union memberships.
Right, exactly.
So they mostly pivoted. Now they have all the smart people work on the pension fund side.
Yep.
So I don't.
Exactly.
I don't know where this is going to go. I think there's a lot of unions that the carny liberals are going to end up fighting with 2 years down the road.
Yeah, no, it's these unions have always been something that bugged me. They really bugged me. For the last 40 years.
Yeah.
When I started working in the industry, unions were always sort of getting in my way.
You were in academia for most of that time, or in tech, were you?
I was in the university for about 10 years.
Okay.
But most of the time, all that time was also in tech because I had my own consulting company.
But in the academic industry in particular, everybody's unionized. Even teaching assistants are unionized these days.
Yeah. To me, that's just a waste of my money.
No, I sort of agree. Right now, they don't seem to have a legitimate reason to exist. They would argue that they do, but in particular with organizations like Canada Post, I mean, they're essentially bankrupt. They're supposed to give up on their major core service, door-to-door mail delivery, sometime between now and the end of the year, I think it is. They are totally useless.
Yeah. Hey, we got door-to-door mail delivery here.
Really? Will that continue on in the new year, or do you think it'll be a?
It's forever because I'm the postmaster and I go down to the post office, go down to the PO box and get the mail for all the people in this area and go deliver to them.
With all due respect, Richard, you're cheating. You're using your initiative.
That's right. That's right. And that's a dangerous thing to do, right?
Absolutely. And it's in the universe we live in right now, it's the only effective way of doing what you want to do, doing what you need to do, feeding your family, taking care of yourself. You use your initiative.
Yeah. Now, I got to admit that home delivery out here would be very expensive. So having just one postman coming to fill up all the PO boxes, and then me go to the PO box and grab the mail that's to everybody in my area here, and I deliver it myself. And of course, it's a great social thing.
It is. It's a good way to know your neighbors.
Yep.
But we will see how this goes forward. Any further comments now that you know that the journalism industry is not so much concerned about us, but they're definitely concerned about protecting their phony baloney jobs.
They are, yeah. And I think people, once they watch this show, they'll understand what we're talking about.
I hope so. One more piece. I believe this one's all about the sun and being toxic, I think.
Yeah.
Cue that up.
This is Matt again. He's always got all these wonderful stories, and I agree 100% with this. If somebody is telling you got to wear sunglasses because the sun is toxic, no. Tell them that they're either a government employee or they're working for Big Pharma. Because the sun is what you need. You need that. And don't wear sunglasses.
Here we go. The April 25th, 2026 Mongo Minds on BitChute post. When somebody says the sun is toxic, most likely they work for the government or Big Pharma. Here we go.
So anybody who tells you to stay out of the sun most likely works for the government or just wants to poison you. Let's just go with that. So benefits of UV light. Let's go with this. UV light activates vitamin D. Okay? So that's number one. UV light lowers blood pressure. UV light increases the efficiency of the heart. UV light improves the EKG of the heart and the blood. UV light assists with cholesterol issues. UV light assists with weight loss. You know this whole Ozempic and peptides garbage that people are putting in their body and looking like skeletons? Go sit in the sun. That's all you need. UV light is an effective solution for skin issues. UV light is an effective treatment for many other illnesses. In 1933, in the book Light Therapy, F.H. Crutzen, because he's a German, talked about how you could heal 165 different diseases with the sun. 165 diseases, basically every single disease. You don't need a pill, you don't need radiation, you don't need chemo, you don't need to be cut open, you sit out in the sun. UV light increases hormones. You know, people having hormonal imbalance, sit out in the sun and spend time in nature. So is UV light harmful or actually beneficial? It's not beneficial to the Rockefeller medical system, which wants to poison you, but it is beneficial to the person who goes and sits outside and realizes that they've been lied to the entire time. Because Light is Medicine by Jacob Liberman. Just crazy how much we've been lied to, you know?
Yep. And what's interesting is that back in 1920, before 1920, the hospitals had beds on the roof of the hospitals for people to go and lie down in the sun.
Oh, wow. Why'd they stop doing that? That to this day, it seems massively healthy.
Yeah, well, Rockefellers and Rothschilds, they'd lose all their business.
Yeah, good point. If they cure you, you don't come to the doctors, you don't buy the drugs, you don't support the infrastructure.
That's exactly it. Yeah. So don't buy into this. Don't wear sunglasses. As a matter of fact, when they said that the sun was not good for your eyes, that's when the Rockefellers and Rothschilds made sunglasses a fashion statement.
Yeah, you're right. I remember ads from the 80s and the 90s that talked about that. I thought that was the goofiest thing in the world.
Yep. Yeah. So, of course, I've still got my sunglasses, which are the big aviator ones, but and they still work very well for me. But I only use them when I'm going straight into the sun because I want to be able to see the oncoming traffic.
So you use them when driving, which is reasonable. Use them for vision, not for health.
Only when I'm driving into the sun. And otherwise, I take them off.
That makes perfect sense. Any other? We have a comment. Did I say anything? No, my apologies. We don't. That was something I'm not going to put on. We did get a comment, and I made a mistake.
Oh, okay.
Richard, just out of curiosity, we're going to wind up. What's on your plate for the next couple of days?
Let's see now. Today is Sunday, so I will be doing my show tomorrow morning, which is going to be a long one. And then I'll do Tuesday shows. I got to gather all this information, start editing it. And then, of course, Wednesday I'll be taking my day off. And then, of course, on Tuesday afternoon, we'll be doing Last Week Today. And then Thursday morning and Friday morning, I'll be doing my show. And then we're back at the weekend again.
Oh, wow. Time flies. It'll be harder to do this when summer comes. I got to find an outlet at a beach I can use.
Yes. And I'm probably not, I can't go down to the beach to do this because I don't have internet access down there. So.
Yeah, there is a patio on a bar in a place called South Beamuth where the Chichiman comes, the big ferry that brings all the tourists by in the summer. And that place has cheap beer and it has good internet and good electricity. And I can park myself there for hours to do work.
Oh, good. All right.
And I think my writing gets better after 3 or 4 beer.
Beauty.
I know you don't agree with me. You're probably right.
Well, I don't, like I said, I don't drink. I haven't drunk since 2002.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just have no desire to do that.
There's nothing wrong with that. Drinking is a vice. We're all allowed one or two vices, but there are consequences to doing everything, and we should be aware of it. And you've decided that you're far more hale and hearty not doing it.
Right. And the big thing is that I don't have to pay those sin taxes.
Yeah, good point. Everything's more expensive these days.
Yeah.
Where am I? As for Freedom Forum, there's the graphic. We normally record every Sunday night at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time on a variety of internet platforms, including the one you're watching. We republish next day with notes on our Substack page at chuckblack.substack.com. Most of our stories slide behind a paywall after a month online, so if you'd like to maintain access, the easiest thing to do is to sign up for a monthly subscription. And it's cheap, $20 Canadian a month, $160 per year. This entitles you to access archived posts, anything over a month old. It includes lots of in-depth articles not covered by our regular stuff. We also have a Substack app for the usual, so you can access Freedom Forum stories from your phone. And we also have subscriber chats, so you can tell us what you really, really want. My name is Chuck Black. I directed the show using StreamYard, which both Richard and I recommend, I think. But only if you sign up using one of our links. There's one link up there. Richard's link is on his site as well. And we get a little bonus out of this at the end of each month to help defray some of our costs. Now, Richard, you contributed some interesting comment today. It was a dense show today, and I kind of like some of the comments you make. But it was a dense show today. There's a lot of information coming out of there. I feel in error. I should have done a whole Lego video. Richard, have you locked out? Yeah, you're back on. You were out for a second.
Oh, was I? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm back.
I think that's all for tonight. Richard, did I miss anything?
No, I don't think you did. We did pretty good there.
It was a good show tonight. I had lots of fun. I look forward to seeing you in 2 days for our next edition of Last Week Today. Good night, Richard.
Good night.